What if you could take that risk, make that change, reach that goal, live your best life? Welcome to another episode of the What If You Could podcast, where we get together with amazing experts and everyday people who share challenges, encourage healing, and explore the possibilities that life has to offer. I'm your host, Gary Scott, and I'm excited that you're along for the ride.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the What If You Could podcast. And my bubbling, awesome, giggling guest today, we've already been silly before we got here. You missed all the fun, is Denise G. Lee. Hello, Denise.
Gary, my love, I'm so glad to be here. And yes, we were shimmying and shaking and having a good time before we even hit the record button.
We should have recorded that just so that people know exactly what happens in the background. We'll do a behind the scenes episode next with outtakes.
You should have blooper reels next time.
I love it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and read Denise's intro real quick. It's a beautiful little short little intro, and we're going to jump in the pool. So, hello, everybody. This is Denise G. Lee, a healing and leadership coach. Denise specializes in helping leaders and solo entrepreneurs transform their challenges into breakthroughs. With over a decade of experience, Denise offers a clear, actionable strategies that simplify decision making and accelerate success. Denise's coaching blends no nonsense advice with empathetic support, tailored to empower business owners to tackle their unique obstacles and lead with confidence. Today, Denise is going to share her expertise on our podcast, providing us with practical tools for overcoming setbacks, gaining clarity, and making impactful decisions. Let's inspire and equip our gang here, our audience, to level up in both business and life. And that's awesome. And that's what we're going to do today. So, welcome again, my friend. Welcome again.
It's so awesome to listen to my own bio because it wasn't that too long ago. I was waking up in a bed with someone I didn't even know. It was not that long ago where I was arguing with a coworker about the possibilities of duking out the parking lot because we disagreed. It was not that long ago where I was told, ma'am, by people who could arrest me. So I've come a long way, baby.
I love it. See, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear those details of how you got from there to here. But before we do that, I have to do the question. I have to release the what if you could question because that's who we are. We're the what if you could people. So, Denise G. Lee, do you have a what if you could moment to share or a what if you could desire for the planet and for our
Yeah.
friends?
Oh, yeah. What if we all could stop giving a damn about what everyone thinks about what we're doing?
Right?
What if?
How do we do it? How do we
How do
do?
we?
I mean, why are we so trapped by that? I mean, why? I mean, has social media made it worse? Like we all have to put this fake persona out there, which just drags us into the rabbit hole of stupidness.
I was having a walk with my husband this morning, and I was telling him that for the longest time, I thought that John F. Kennedy Jr., JFK, was the Camelot, like a family member, a family man. And he chuckled, like the one who had like Marilyn Monroe and all those other people, family man. I'm like, but yeah, like he created this persona of American royalty. And he came from a line of Irish Catholic drunks. What is happening? And the thought about it is, it's like we work so much hard to create this persona. And it's like the emperor with no clothes, and everyone's like, yup, you look fine. Yup, you look fine. Let's cover it up. And then the process of gaslighting ourselves, we're missing opportunities for growth and healing and awareness.
Yeah, yeah. And it's whether it's a president of the United States, it's someone like RFK Jr., whether it's someone that you're counseling, it's like, dude, just drop that. Because until you drop that fake persona that you're putting out there or this mysticism that you're trying to embed yourself in, you're not going to face yourself and you're a total train wreck disaster. So we need to get you fixed, right? I mean, how do we pull people out of that stuff?
See, here's the thing. Like, I'm going to just start off and like for those of you guys who weren't listening in our pre-call conversation, I was like, I've been forbidden from doing any type of singing, not even like singing in my own home. Just go in the shower. I've been told relegated to the shower. My son says, "Mommy, you can't sing. Stop it, mommy. Stop it." And so if I'm hearing all these voices saying, I can't sing, I can't sing, I can't sing, right? Then I either have to go like one or two class, right? I have to go to like total dive bars where as long as I'm giving money into the tip jar or whoever, I could just keep doing my thing, right? Or I could just ignore the fact that maybe perhaps I need to like get professional help, right? And so we as human beings, we go to those two extremes. We go to people who enable us to do junk things so they can get money or whatever they want. Or right, we just like go off into our own fantasy world. And I'm here to say like there's actually a part where we can actually do the work and recognize that we're still works in progress. There's a duality of yes, I can get better, but no, you're not going to be Whitney Houston. Maybe we can like verge like and get into the middle here. And that's with everything in life. No, look, on a scale of 1 to 5s in life, 5s are geniuses and 1s are total done. Most of us are 2 to 3s. Let's be clear. Most of us aren't inventing solutions for world peace and hunger. We're just average Joes trying to figure it out and not make a mess out of ourselves and show up on Maury Porvic or wherever. And if we can actually just get honest about all the stuff that's happening within us, maybe we can live a life that's not problematic, that doesn't cause us to drink to avoid our problems, that doesn't have us create messy, dramatic situations just so we can avoid what's going on.
Yeah. When when people come to you because you bring it, right? I mean, you bring it. I love that. So when people come to you, where are they? I mean, are they have they hit rock bottom? And they mean, now I'm so bad off. I gotta go to Denise Lee, right? Or are they like, I'm hitting a wall. I need to get over it, and I want to increase what I'm doing. I mean, where do people come to you? What stages?
It's so funny because I wish I could just say the ideal case scenario where everyone who comes and reaches me, they have their to the last X amount of money in the bank. Well, if they're broke, they can't see me. But I guess what you're trying to
I'm not welfare, all right? You got to
yeah.
pay me to see me.
So it's like you can't be totally broke, right?
Right.
But you can't be having like like outstanding bench warrant, right? You're not in the midst of some legal situation happening, right? You're actually able, financially solvent enough to come see me. And so that's making assumptions, right? Assumptions that you actually have things you care about and you don't want destroyed, right? It's making
Right.
assumptions that someone beyond you cares about your welfare and you're seeking solutions because you're seeing that if you want to keep enjoying the enjoyment of the people around you, you need to get some outside perspective on your behaviors, right? So that's not what you think, right? But that's not necessarily. Every once in a while, someone actually has clarity and recognize, gee, there's something happening within me that's causing problems, and now amount of money or social media followers or whatever can fix it. That's the ideal. But unfortunately, most people who come see me is a belief show by then in some form or fashion. Because here's the thing, we as human beings, we get real comfortable with discomfort. You know what I mean? Like, I'll give you a perfect example. So, for the longest time, I thought for myself that my my hair, right? Like you see, it's prolicious, right? It's prolicious. What I used to
Did
do for
you say
many
fro? Did you say
prolicious,
frolicious?
prolicious, prolicious. It's not delicious. It's prolicious. So anyway, if
So
you go
that
on my
makes me
website,
so that makes me baldicious.
bald,
Baldicious because I got the spot. I got the spot.
prolicious. But look, if you go on my website, Denise G, right, you see a black woman with straight hair, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful long, like, but guess what? It was creating bald spots in my head. I was nuking my hair to oblivion. And so I thought, well, as long as I keep straightening it, it'll be okay. And then it got thinner and thinner. Oh, wait, no, just maybe I'll just cover it up. And it got thinner and thinner. And like, I remember one hairstyle said, honey, let it go. And I had to literally shave it all off and let nature show what nature wanted to show. But that took a lot of time. But I got comfortable with that discomfort because it worked until reality was telling me it wasn't working at all.
I bet you were badass sexy bald, huh? I bet you just came into a room just like, yeah, I know. You don't even have to tell me I just know, right? Let's go. But
Yeah,
that takes a lot of self-confidence to go, you know what? I'm not going to do this, to my head anymore. I'm not going to do this myself. This is what nature wants me to want my head to be like, right? This is what I got. And so you shaved your head, and that's a great metaphor, really, for what you do probably with a lot of coaching. It's like, dude, I'm gonna shave your head, bro, because you need to go all the way back, right, to bring you forward.
and that's scary because, like, here's the thing: we have created not just our reality, but our relationships and our way of understanding based on things that may have served us in one particular area and one particular person, but for your overall health and well-being, it's actually killing you.
Yeah, yeah, but we don't. We get so caught up in these different things. We compartmentalize a lot of things. We focus like, man, I have to do that. I have to do that. Have to do that. And then you let your health go. Or you focus on, I'm going to be so healthy, so healthy, so healthy. You don't have any money. You're broke, right? And so when when you're coaching with people and you're sitting down with them, is it mostly business people? Is it outside kind of therapy healing that you do? Who's kind of like your target person that you would work with?
So I mostly work with business owners, right? Because it's not just their business at stake, it's the livelihood of their team members. So there's a lot to on the line on, and it's a little different vibe than when you're an employee and you just walk down the hall to the employee assistance program and sit and talk to somebody who could care less whether or not you're dissatisfied with your supervisor. There's a totally different vibe because we're not just talking about your business, right? We're talking about how your business supports your overall well-being. And for a lot of us who create business, it was out of a trauma response. So what I mean by trauma response is nobody decides to be a business owner on a whim. It's usually they got fed up, tired, beat down, kicked to the curb situation, and they're like, you know what? I'm better off doing this stuff myself.
Yeah, yeah. And and it's tough. I mean, what's the average lifespan of a bit? Do people even make it 5 years in new business? People make it 3 years? I mean, what's the crash and burn time frame for people who try to start a business?
90% of business owners, sorry, let me say it again. 70% of business owners don't survive the first 5 years. And then it accelerates to like up to 90, the next 5 to 7 years. And there's a lot of variables behind that. Like, for example, the finances for sure, right? And
Yeah.
then those who actually do, they can, and they thrive if they don't become Elon Musk type of disaster where they sleep on the carpet of wherever their office is. They either literally compartmentalize that life so strictly that it actually emotionally stunts them from everywhere else. And let me explain what I'm talking about. If you've been grinding it out for 70 hours a week for 5 years plus, it does something to your mind and not in a good way. And the only people that you can relate to are people who understand that grind, that hustle. The only people who can understand you are people who have learned to numb themselves from pain, right? So how you're able to express your wants and needs in a way that's honoring yourself and others. Those skills need to be retaught.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go ahead, go ahead.
And you gotta learn to let go sometimes. It's like, um, My son and I own a real estate company. We've been doing it for 35 years. We do real estate sales, leasing, property management division, and stuff like that. But when I first got my license 35 years ago, I hired an assistant before I even knew how to even sell a house. I mean, I just like, all right, Bobby, you come in and help me with postcards and stuff like that, because I knew stuff that I was not going to be good at. Right, I knew I was going to be good, and so I waited tables at night just so I could pay for my assistant because I knew it would help me. But how many people do you see that just struggle? It's like, dude, you need to let go of some of this stuff, whether it's ego or if you think it's finances. You can't be working 70, 80 hours a week, right? Over and over and over and over. You got to let some of that go, right?
Well, you bet your ass you can work 70 hours and just turn you into a monster. But you were one of the lucky few that actually probably read the 4 hour work day and Michael Gerber's the E Myth, where they actually told you to outsource people who actually know what they're doing so you can focus on the actual real needle movers. But unfortunately, a lot of people who start their businesses don't understand that concept because they're trying to avoid and run away from all the things that gave them discomfort. And in the process of doing, they actually traumatize themselves through the burnout of myopic focus on their business at the expense of everything else.
Can you overcome burnout? I mean, can you save yourself from burnout and get yourself back on track, down, just drop down a little bit, or once you've got that mindset, you're just going to burn out until your business goes away?
I'm laughing. It's not funny though. Like the older guys who are listening or watching, like, why is she laughing at burnout? Like, I'm not laughing at burnout. I'm not.
We're not laughing at you. We're laughing with you.
And we're like, oh, like I know somebody's listening, like, that Gary, he needs to do better about getting his guests. Make sure they understand about these social issues. This is so unwelcoming and so patient. Like so because I know we still have the Karens. Like but they're called Cynthia's and Linda's and whatever. But we still have the Karens of the room. So I apologize to the Karens of the room to answer the question. But look, getting straight to it, like, can we overcome burnout? Well, here's the thing, right? If you're a business owner, like a true business owner, because most people who say they're business owner, they're really self-employed. Like
Yeah.
that's not a business owner. When you're understanding the idea of system management, like resource distribution, and you're looking at like making sure that certain things result to certain outcomes. That's a business owner. That's a business mindset. If you can have that same mindset, you can channel into your personal life where you're actually checking in with yourself. You have mechanisms in place to identify times where you need rest, times where you actually need to stop procrastinating and get that thing done. Times where you actually need to call up your friend and have some big old ugly tears over a tub of Ben and Jerry's. Like, it's all about ebb and flow.
Yeah. And then because people like you said, they just they got to hold on to it, or they're just not true business people. They really are better off being an employee. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing
Trust
wrong
me,
with it.
getting a paycheck and having, retirement and things like that, there's a lot to be said for that. Trust me on that. But that's just not my mindset. I mean, I've worked for myself my entire life, even waiting tables. But so there is a reluctance to thinking, well, I don't need a coach. I don't need a mentor. I've got this. But the reality is you don't. You could really use help. You could use a mentor. You could use a coach. You need a Denise G Lee. So how do you break that barrier of getting people to understand you need help, dude? You're screwing up.
Honey, I don't do that. That's not my job. My job is to give information and lead people to make their own decisions as grown men and women.
Hmm.
And I know that sounds weird, like for me to say, well, decides Denise doesn't try to motivate you to like, yeah, I don't. Because I have all the things I want to do in my life than being caretaker mommy. I don't want to be big D for everybody. And that's the thing that I need people to understand, that a coach is not a surrogate mother or father figure.
Right.
Nor am I a drill sergeant lighting stuff up your.
Yeah, we don't want to do that either. So when you do get some of those, so say I come to you and say, listen, D, I'm struggling. My son is 10 times smarter than me because he's 31 and I'm 61. So he knows everything. I don't know anything, right? But we've hit a wall. We want to expand. We want to blow this up. Do
Mhm.
you look at my business, or do you just do you bring me in? You talk to me and my son. Or you just look at my business. How would you counsel us to make that move, to grow that, to expand that?
Well, I'm a certified project manager in addition. So, I mean, I was trained to look at how to manage an operation and say, and actually bring in the human component, saying, okay, this is how this business unit runs. This is the skill set. This is what's needed. If this is not up for the task for you, let's bring in partners to help alleviate certain things so that you can actually start being well and whole yourself.
Yeah, because we all
So,
have strengths and weaknesses, right? I mean,
yeah.
I'm a strong people person, believe it or not. You wouldn't guess by us talking, but my son is very strong with the back end of it. So initially, we kind of struggled there, right? It's like both trying to, well, Dad, I need you to do this and that, this and that. Then we just came to the realization, like, dude, I really suck at doing that stuff. You're really good at it, right? I'm good with just bullshitting people. So why don't I just do that? And you do that, and now we're kind of finding our groove, right? After
Yeah.
after a while. So
Mhm.
you help people with that then. Do you point out their strengths and weaknesses and said you probably should bring someone in to do that because you suck at that?
Well, so my process is the first and foremost is identifying your life script. And so what am I talking
Wait,
about
wait,
life
wait.
script?
Identifying our what?
Your life script.
Life
Your life
script. Okay.
script. So on the
Okay.
banner on my website, deniseg.com, there's a thing that says understand your life script. I put this post together. It'll take you about 15, 20 minutes to figure out. It's free, it's no big deal. And it's designed to help me understand how you're wired, how you're like how it ticks. It was not just me just coming out on a whim. It's actually rounded in transactional analysis psychology that was developed by the Dr. Eric Byrne in the 1950s. And there's a series of events that happen in your life, involve your family members, your friends, that make you conclusions about who you are, how you relate to people, and how you view yourself in relation to like the world around you. And so basically, I take that information, I say, okay, based on what I'm seeing, it's identifying a lot of clear like behaviors and habits. And so my question is, now we have some awareness. What do you want to do with that? And based on what you want to do with that, then we make certain decisions. We coach you through certain decisions that will help you either change, adjust, or remove. But that's really self-directed. I don't I don't care if you want to snort up all night long, but have a great relationship with your mother. Like I it's not my thing.
I have a horrible relationship with my mother. She's 90. I'm like, Mom, come on. How much longer is this going to go on? This is ridiculous. You're 90. Um, well, that's a really awesome approach because let's face it, you can't change someone, right? You're like, look, dude, I'm here to help you with your business. I'm trying to take you to extreme. I'm trying to help you maximize yourself. But if you have issues, mommy issues, and stuff like that, you're going to need to go take care of that somewhere else, right? I mean, is that what you're saying? It's like I want to take a look at how you are as a business person, not
No,
with your other issues, right?
no, actually, I've got tons of articles specifically talking about codependency, enmeshment, uh, mommy issues, dysfunctional family. Like you can board yourself on all of that content. I'm just helping you be aware from a psychological standpoint how that impacts your business. I'm just trying to connect the dots.
And then based on that, so is it like a personality evaluation? Is that so that you say, here are your strengths as a person, here are your weaknesses as a person, and you need to focus more on that or instead of on that?
Now, this is not an Enneagram or like a Myers Briggs thing. This is about the ways that you effed up and the ways people effed you up. And what are you going to do about it? Like, that's what that is.
Well, I love it because you're definitely don't seem like you're the person who sugarcoats the stuff, right? You're not gonna mommy someone and say, "Come here, Puddin', I'm gonna." No, I mean you bring it to them because they're not only are they paying you, but you want them to succeed.
That's kind of the goal.
Yeah, that is the
I was like,
goal.
oh, I mean, ain't nobody got time. Okay, you want me to talk to you about stuff from a G, like Disney PG rated thing when you're living an X rated life. That doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't.
No, I get it. I totally get it. But but the thing of the matter is, I mean, a lot of people think when when you start talking about healing and
Mhm.
leadership and things like that, a lot of times those two are not very, it's incongruent kind of like, right? Well, yes, we want to talk about healing and you healing and get everything to here, but we're talking about how your leadership is and how you're going to run your company and build your business,
Mhm.
right? They're kind of are two separate things in one sense. Yes, I want to heal you so you could get better, so you could become a better leader and a better business person. But
Mhm.
at some point, I need to focus on you as a business person. Is that where you go with that, or am I totally off on that? You could just tell me. We're friends now. You can tell me, dude, you're wrong.
So was it like a week or 2 weeks ago where Grimes, I forgot her first name, she put like the one of the many baby mamas on of Elon Musk posted on X saying like our one of our kids have problems. This is the SOS. This is an emergency, whatever. She posted on social media for all to see. And another baby mama went on social media. I father like he fathered my kid. Please respect my privacy. And you're asking like, what does that have to do? If you don't handle your social, if you don't handle your business, your personal life, it will impact your bottom line.
Yeah,
It will impact how people perceive you.
yeah.
I hope the babies did get their medical care. The point I'm trying to make is that we can't operate in a vacuum where, okay, my business life is here, and that's good. And then my personal life is like nobody's business. It spills.
So when you're working with people to simplify their process, right? So someone
Mhm.
comes to you and you take a look at their business, you take a look at them personally, and you're
Mhm.
like, dude, this is where you're screwing up. This is where I'm trying to help you simplify this so that you could achieve and you could do it in an easier way than just getting your ass kicked 100 hours a week. So when you're working to simplify people, what steps do you take? I mean, are you just, a Sergeant Lee and you just kick their ass, or can you walk them through it gently and get them there?
I only go as far as you take me. I'm a lady. I won't barge into people's houses and kick down bathroom doors and smear my hands against the hallway and try to in my effort to revitalizing the area. Like that ain't nobody got time for that. What I'm trying to address is what's most pressing to you. And then let's get that done. And then as you're talking, we're having our sessions where I'm asking you like, well, what do you think about that? Is that a problem? And I want you to decide where you guide me, and then I'm going to come up with my side. We're going to co-collaborate on some ideas that work well for your situation. Because sometimes I'll be hearing stories from people, and I'm thinking one completely different solution, and they don't want to go there. And like, okay, well, we'll work on it this way, and that's cool with me because I'm not living their lives.
Yeah, yeah. But because you've got so much experience and you look from the outside in, at some point do you just say, "Dude, I'm not sure why you're fighting me on this. You came to me, we took a look at this. This is where I believe we can make improvements here, and yet you don't want to follow that advice. So do you just let them go and just go, well, I'll see you next Thursday at 9. That'll be $500. I mean, at what point do you go, if
It
you
depends on
aren't
the.
if you aren't going to want willing to be fixed, I can't work with you. I can't help you.
Well, it depends, Gary. Like for some people, like I'm thinking about one particular client that I had. Like I told her let go with some girls that she was had under her crew, and she decided that she'd rather just put on some more rules and some more guidelines in place, and that was her situation. I totally disagreed. I thought they were going to sabotage her, but there was other issues that needed to be worked on to help her improve her confidence to see that holding on to these team members weren't even worth it to begin with. So I respect the fact that everybody's on their different journeys, and trust me, we may disagree on A, but maybe we can work on B, C, and D, and that's okay. Rarely is there a point where you're totally disagreeing with everything I have to say. Usually with human beings, it's not just one thing. It's just other things that all need to be addressed.
Yeah, I found that with my son a lot. I thought we could go A, B, C, and D, and he's like, Dad, I'm already at Q, U, Z, Y, and whatever. And so finding that balance, right? I mean, finding that is like, okay, all right, D, I got it. I can work on that, but I really feel I need to get over here and clean this up first. So you're like, all right, cool. Well, let's work on cleaning this up. But at some point, we've got to move over and clean this up. Like those people. I mean, uh, my friend who runs a pretty successful business out in Kansas says she finally learned to hire slow and fire
Are
fast
fast.
because she was doing it the other way. She was hiring someone out of stress. I need an assistant. I need somebody. Hire him right away. And it's like, dude, I got to get rid of this person because they're horrible, right? So you give people enough rope to hang themselves, and then you bring them in and fix them.
I mean, when you asked me earlier, like, well, how would someone you would work with someone who would disagree? And I'm like, why would you go through that effort to work with me? I put up a lot of roadblocks of like having people to work with me because I want you to slow your roll and really understand what an investment in your life comes by involving me.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you haven't read any of my like any of my blog posts or listened to any of my stuff, like, why are we talking? Because I am very direct and I'm very candid. And at one point I'm going to confront something that feels nasty.
Yeah.
And so it always befuddles me when I'm talking with someone and they say, well, can't you just not talk about that? And I'm like,
Right? That's why you're here. All right, princess. So just that's why you're here, dude, to talk about that, right? I mean,
yeah,
you can't keep running from the thing. It's like we say all the time, the definition of insanity, right? Keep
oh
doing the
yeah,
same thing, expecting a different result. And I'm a huge believer in coaching. I've had to coach, like I said, since day one. I had a coach day one, the assistant, and a coach day one because I'm really bad at a lot of stuff. But I'm really good at some things, right? And I need to know to keep those separate. You know what I mean? I
yeah.
need to keep working on my strengths and the stuff that I'm just not going to be good at. I just got to let go of. I just can't keep holding on to that stuff.
I think
We're
for a lot of us, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, no, no. That's what I was just going to say. I mean, when you get with people, I mean, coming back to that again, like you just said, it's like, well, when you say, well, do we have to go there? It's like, yeah, we have to go there.
I'm like I want to itch where I can't scratch. Like, happening. I'm laughing because it's like there is no comfort in change.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. Where you can be healthy, wealthy, sexy, and beautiful, and it just comes through an injection of an Ozempic or whatever, or an infusion in cash from the lottery. Like, we've got to abandon these Disneyland magical fantasy approaches to solving problems that only works on the screen, big screen, and they live happily ever after.
100%. I mean, especially for business owners, there is no happily ever after for a lot of business owners. I mean, geez, look what COVID did. Look what lockdowns did for so many businesses and so many people.
Gosh.
Unless you had a liquor store, a strip club, or a Walmart, you were going to get shut down, right? I mean, and it's like, how do you overcome that? I mean, how do you get through that? I mean, there's always going to be something else coming along that's going to trip you up. And I know I've got a lot of friends who like, hey man, I work for this dude as a painter. He's a real jerk, so I'm gonna start my own painting company. I'm like, all right. And they go, you got any ideas? I said, don't do it, because I know you, dude. You suck as a painter. How are you gonna be a good owner, right? It's like, not everyone should be a business owner. They just
Is
shouldn't.
that fair? I mean, I just have to say this. This is totally random, but I have to say that I couldn't understand. They shut down the churches, but the liquor store kept open during COVID. So I told you everything you needed to know.
Right? You'll get arrested for going and sitting in a church parking lot with a mask on, 8 feet away from another parishioner. You'll get thrown in jail. But dude, you can go buy weed and booze. I don't know. I don't know. All right. I'm just saying something just doesn't seem right there. It's just, I know
It
it's
says
off
protecting your
topic, but
civil liberty, civil liberty. Okay, but you getting back to that the what you said earlier about your friend wanting to become a painter, even though he probably sucks at painting, right? It was again for a lot of us, and we don't have anyone questioning what we're thinking.
yeah.
It's usually some really bad decisions. And I know this sounds crazy because for the first 18 years of our life, we were always told what we should do, what we can't do, what we ought to do, all this stuff, right? But here's the funny part about it. Those voices that came from mom, dad, Uncle Jimmy, whatever, your teachers, they never left. They never. They're the ones saying, don't you let them tell you anything different. You can be your own man. You honey, make sure you always wash your hair. Like all those voices keep ringing in your head. And that's why your friend just said, I want to be my own man as a painter. Just like my old man told me.
Well, back to you now because I'm still trying to piece this together. So you're working with the business aspect of these people and you're dealing with the mental aspect of these people. Because you think that just goes hand in hand. I mean, you've got to work with them and analyze them mentally before you can try to help shape where they need to go business wise.
I would say it's more 75 of the healing and then the 25%. The business is easy. You can get an AI bot to fix your business. Trust me. You can put it in prompts and chat GPT and fix your stuff. That's not what you need. What you need is to get your head straight so you don't have to rely on outside people to deduce what is obvious in front of you.
Yeah. So that's what I want to focus on. That's what I want to focus on because I know a lot of business people, right? I mean, I try to support small business. I try to always go to little businesses, and I know the struggle that these people are going through, right? I mean, I freaking sell houses and lease houses and do property management. I mean, every morning I wake up, I'm unemployed. Every morning. I do not, it's it. I'm unemployed. Every morning I wake up, I got to go out and find work, right? So it's a real mental, it can really be tough mentally. If I had a brain, it would be sore from all the stress of doing this, right? Unfortunately, I don't. But so when you're dealing with people, I mean, that's it, right? I mean, small business owners just could be mental cases.
That's relative, right? Because there's a lot of things going on, right? It could
Yeah.
be where they're just literally the baton was handed off from a family business. My grandfather, my great grandfather, we made cheese in the cellar, and like, where it's automatic, right? You know, like just follow the script, kid. You can figure this out, right? I mean, think about Trump, before he got his first bankruptcy and then rebuilt again and then had more problems. I mean, so there's so many like examples of just family business owners, right? And then
Yeah.
there's other of the self-made, which is really a fluke that happened on a whim, that happened with a chance encounter, that happened from just consistently showing up, even when everyone said they were looking stupid. And then one offer became another offer. The next thing they knew, they were on Shark Tank. Then you're seeing them products all around Walmart. Like everybody lands into entrepreneurial journeys differently, right? But the fact of the matter is, like the connecting is, they're all human beings learning how to find their unique sense of self in a unpredictable, changing environment.
Well, yes. I mean, especially you. I mean, like we were talking about. I mean, you never know what's going to come along. They're going to change taxes. They're going to change litigation. They're going to shut us down with the pandemic. They're going to do something is going to come along that you're just not going to be prepared for. There just isn't. I mean, in California, where I do property management, I mean, like every 15 minutes, they make the law harder to own a rental property. I mean, it's just like they just constantly turn up the legislation, the laws, the rules to make it more and more difficult all the time. So if you aren't staying up with that and adjusting to that, you're screwed. I mean, either you're going to get sued, you're going to get shut down by the government. You know, the Department of Real Estate's going to shut you down. IRS is going to shut you down. Everybody's out to get you to shut down your business. So it's hard to deal with all those sharks in the water and stay focused on building a business. It just is. It's tough.
Yeah. And that's why it's important to have someone that's not you or not someone that, you have conjugal visits with, right? I'm serious. Like, because all you
Like
will be like, honey,
Elon and all his baby mamas just having conjugal visits. How many
but
baby mamas does he have? Elon, keep it in your pants, dude. How many more do you need, dude? I mean, I know you're the richest man in the world, but come on. At some point, I get off business, but yeah, I mean, it's that having someone that you can go to like yourself, right? I've always had a real estate coach. I mean, for as long as I can remember, so that I can go, look, these are the challenges going. And then I've done coaching and mentoring, where you're like, look, come here. Let's walk. Let me explain something, Lucy. Let's walk through some of this stuff, right? Because you're a crash and burn mission, dude, and you don't need to be. You've got the skills. I mean, you have the ability. You don't have a freaking clue what you're doing.
I don't think it's so much they don't have a freaking clue. I think it's an issue of prioritization. And what I mean by that is, like, I'll give a shallow example, right? Because you talked to me earlier, you said, "Well, focus about you, Denise." I'm like, "Okay, I'll focus up on me, all right, for a second." So if I put all my energy, right, into being like the most beautiful, ravenous thing that you think, I would be spending all my time primping, putting on makeup, getting like hydrofacials, all this stuff, right? But I wouldn't see my family. I'd just be bouncing from one appointment to the other. And then eventually I needed to actually work harder at my business so I can afford more treatments. And so it's a priority issue, right?
Right.
There is a cost for what you want to do. And for a lot of us, we've never put assigned value to what we prioritize.
Yeah. So I'm going to come to you. I'm going to go,
Yes.
all right, here's the deal. I looked you up. You're awesome. I know that you can help me. I come to you. And so is that one of the first things you do is your assessment program that you're talking about, your assessment
Yeah.
evaluation?
Mhm.
You do an assessment of me and the business, or you mostly just focus on assessment of me?
Well, it depends on what you say you want to focus on. Because
Mm.
for some people, they're like, I already have a business coach and I'm working on that specifically. And I'm like, that's cool. Because I'm really more on the psychology arm of things. But as a business owner myself, I do speak to you from the lens of, as a business owner, this is some things that you need to consider as you reshape and re-envision how you want to live your life.
Do you find yourself having to almost be a marriage counselor sometimes for a lot of these people? Because small business owners, I mean, divorce is high. It's a stressful thing. You're working too much. You're not at home. I mean, you find yourself dealing with some maybe, being marriage counselor too.
I've invited uh, the spouses of some of my clients to show up. They haven't. It was so weird, Gary. I remember this one time I was talking with uh, she was a prospect at the time, prospective client. Then she became a client, and I heard all this fussing and fighting, and I thought it was like a teenage boy in the background, like, and I come to find out it was her husband saying, "When are you gonna get off the phone?" Her husband.
Yeah, we deal with that all the time. I mean, I'll tell you what, the toughest, one of the toughest sales you'll ever make is with a couple getting divorced who have to sell their house. Holy crap. I mean, it's just that gets nasty. But yeah, I mean, I could imagine in business, it's like, my first wife, she's since passed away, but she was my business partner. But we had a very strict rule. It's like when we get home, phones get turned off, no business talk at the dinner table. We just shut that down, right? I mean, it's like you need to get away from it sometimes because when you own the business, it follows you everywhere. It's like a bad stink, right? You just can't get it off of you. Do you work with people on trying to like dude, you gotta step out of this sometimes.
I will never sit here and try to tell a business owner like this is how you completely like disconnect yourself like from some creature from the Borg and like Star Trek like you're part of the part of the collective like I like that's but in a way you are because a huge part of who you are created this entity and I'm not just talking from like a legal taxation perspective. I'm just talking about like your blood sweat and tears went into this thing and to say well as long as you turn off your phone and silence notifications then it'll just be all good and like that's surface level. It's about how you want to feel about yourself as you're not working on the business.
I could see that, I mean, you're right. It's like, when they say you're the president of the United States and when you leave the White House, you never stop being president of the United States, right? It just follows you everywhere. You got the guy with the bomb box, you got 100 people around you, you got security around you, stuff like that. So you really never leave it. And I guess when you're running your own business, depending on what scale and what size and things like that, that's true too. I mean, I do know a lot of guys who are really good at it there. They're like, dude, I'm closed Saturday, Sunday. I don't care what happens. Your house can burn down. Doesn't matter to me. I'm closed Saturday and Sundays. If you can do that, I mean, that's a great thing. That's pretty healthy. But a lot of people can't do that. They can't turn it off.
Yeah. I I'm not one of those people too. I even when I'm taking my Sabbath, there's always a part of me that thinks about what client conversation I had, what I want to write about next, or but it's what I'm doing is not so much trying to ignore all the other stuff, but it's like how am I letting it present itself in my present reality in front of my son while I'm at church, while I'm at the grocery store. I'm not always Denise G. Lee, healing leadership coach. Sometimes I'm Denise hanging out with the girls, and I'm Denise, at the relief center. I'm Denise, like there's versions of me. And if I'm trying to feel like I have to hold on to that version of work Denise everywhere, I'm missing out on really connecting with the people in front of me.
Yeah. It's tough to be present when your mind is somewhere else, right? It just is. And in my business, it's 24/7, even if I don't want it to be. I mean, I'll get the call that the toilet overflowed. I'll get a call that, electricity's not working or, something's going on as far as the
Mhm.
property management. And that's just what I've chosen. We since hired a company who kind of takes those headache calls because it was just getting too stupid, right? But there's still always that concern. You've got a listing that's for sale and it's not selling yet, and you're concerned for your clients. You're trying to think, all right, how do I get this thing sold for these guys? And for me, I mean, that's how I make a living too. But they've hired me to do a job. It doesn't know it's not easy to shut it down.
No, you can't. I mean, one of the things that I've always told my clients, and I do it myself, is have a journal right next to your nightstand. And if you're thinking about something, it doesn't even matter how stupid it is, like, oh, I need to put this listing on Tuesday. Just write it down. Even if you're not doing any action, just that mental brain dump can help. All right, I'm back where I am. Just write it down. Another thing that I tell my clients is like, if shut down working 3 hours before bedtime. Like the same way you're not supposed to be ideally so like your body can fully metabolize things when you sleep, like 3 to 4 hours of sleep. Don't eat 3 to 4 hours before bedtime. Well, don't look at the computer. Don't look at your phone because your brain will constantly try to prioritize all that stuff unconsciously. There's a lot of little things that you can do to help get yourself grounded.
Do you work with people on a business plan, or you just try not to get that too much into their business as far as working on the business itself? You're more kind of doing a personal mental plan than a business plan.
Correct. I'm not that, yeah, because I was not very good as a business coach because I would always talk about their mental health issues.
Yeah.
So I decided to stay in my lane.
Yeah, but like you said, I mean that's the most important. I mean, let's face it, if you're really good running a business, you're a really good person doing what you decided to do as your business. It's usually the mental side that's going to screw you up anyways. I mean, you know how to run the business, you know what to do. You're a carpenter or painter or a lawyer or whatever. I mean, that's what you know what to do, but it's that mental part that always trips you up.
I just wished when I was starting to run my business, 15 plus years ago, I had someone saying to me, like, Denise, you have to talk about your alcoholism. Denise, you have to talk about your sex addiction. Denise, you have to talk about how incest impacted you. I didn't understand how that linked to my behaviors as first as an employee and then as a business owner.
Do you ever touch on that stuff? Or do you just leave it? That's got nothing to do with other people, and that's not something you bring into the business, or do you share that past experience and say, "Hey, dude, I've been here. You're there. We can get you here. I've been there." Do
I
you
was
share
all
that?
over my website, honey. All my junk, all on it. I don't even hide about that, the unsexy versions of what I did. You know, I'm going to be honest and say for the vast majority of my life, I was an asshole. I'm a recovering like they have like Alcoholics Anonymous. I wish they had recovering asshole numbers. Like all the ways that you were a jerk. You know, remember? I think we're both old enough to remember when Seinfeld was on the air. And when you think about Seinfeld, they were all jerks. And that's why it was so funny. Like, how are they going to get out of one jam that they created out of themselves? Now, like the rebooted version was It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But is that still on the air now? It was on FX. I
I've
don't know.
actually never seen that one, but yeah, I remember. I remember Seinfeld, and yeah, they were just four narcissists always getting into a jam.
But that's why everyone loved it because it was like, it's not me, but it actually is you. That's why you find it relatable. So
Yeah.
when you think about it, it's not even about trying to like create a better PR image of yourself. It's about like you understanding like, hey, I'm an asshole and this created X, Y, Z problems.
I love that because people always say to me, "Oh, Gary, you're so nice. You know, you always say nice things to people and you do nice things." And I go, "Dude, you don't even know me. Shut up. I, you don't even know. You don't know me. All right. You just see the me that you see out there. None of that stuff." But yeah, that's funny about that. But I was through your website quite a bit before we did this.
Yeah.
Most of what I saw was just really inspirational and about the healing and the leadership and getting
Yeah.
people involved and the stuff. I guess I
Mhm.
just didn't go down the right rabbit hole to look in all of the dirty nooks and crannies. But I thought the website was great, and I thought everything that you put on there was super helpful stuff. It's a great website.
Thank you. Oh, they're just like my about page. I do talk about my some of my issues, my past issues. But I think it's really more embedded in some of my posts as I talk about certain issues. I, I relate a lot about my own journey, specifically the articles I talk about sex addiction, alcoholism. I do talk about some of the things I've done.
Mhm. Well, the best people to fix people are ones who've been through the shit, right? I mean, it, if you've never had issues and you've never had problems, you've never had to fight your way out of stuff, you you're less likely to be able to be empathetic and help people because you don't know from whence they've come. And I say that's what I tell my boys, dude. I've made so many mistakes because they always see, oh, mom and dad, you guys were so great and you did all this and stuff like that. I'm like, oh. Now that they're all, it's like, dude, you've got no idea. So many crash and burn missions, right? You gotta, and you have to be able to share that stuff. You have to be able to share that stuff. First of all, I don't want my sons to make the same mistakes that I've made, right? They're gonna
Mhm.
make their own mistakes. I just don't want them to make the same ones I've made. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So when I'm working with one of my son works with me, the other one's in the Air Force, but I still treat them the same way as far as the way I try to counsel and parent, right?
Yeah.
Dude, use me an example, not the example that you thought it was growing up, but the real
Yeah.
example of what I've lived.
Yeah.
Because you can't hide behind that shit.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. And what I think a lot of us think, I mean, I'm a mother myself, and I always tell my son, like, I'm not perfect, by the way. Here's why. One of the things I love playing with my son is like, let's do math, right? And I'll say, what's 1 plus 1, right? He'll ask like, and then I'll just say something ridiculous like 2,523 nickels and 46 monkey chains. I'm like, that mommy, you don't know how to do math. No, I know what 5 plus 5 is 5,600 degrees Fahrenheit. And the reason why I'm saying this for a couple of reasons is because I want you to be comfortable calling me out. If you can call me out, can't you call yourself out or call people around you out when you hear something ridiculous?
That's
Make
awesome.
people feel safe to be honest about what's happening and what's not making sense.
Yeah. And it's great that you offer that to business people because truth of the matter is, we don't have a lot of people to turn to when you're running a business. You certainly don't want to tell your wife that you're having issues or your husband that you're having issues. You don't want to tell the kids. You don't want to tell your business partner. You don't want to talk to your accountant. You don't want to talk to some of your clients. It's like, who the hell do you go to when you're struggling in business? You're having some mental challenges and stuff. It's not safe to talk to people. Right? I
Mm-mm.
mean, it's great to be able to have someone like you to go to say, "Hey, I need some help here," in these areas where you can straighten them out. I think that's great. Yeah, I mean,
I
like I
appreciate
said,
that.
I've been involved in coaching since day one. I think it's an awesome thing. But all right, kiddo, you've been awesome with your time. We've been talking to Denise G. Lee. It's just been a blazing fast hour. I can't even believe it. Um, so I had my one question, but I totally lied. I'm a realtor. We lie. I actually have two. I actually have two questions. My first question was, "What if you could?" question. I gave you that one. But my second question is, if Denise G. Lee wanted to leave our audience with a thought, something, a saying, a thought, something that was important to you, something that you felt very attached to that means something to you that you would like to share with us, what would that one last thought be?
Mm. Love, I know you've been through so much in your life. I know what has happened to you might have shaken your perspective about what is possible, but whatever can happen if you put in the focus, the energy, and the dedication.
I love that. I love that. There's always a way out, right? I mean, there's always a solution to the deepest, darkest, no matter where you find yourself. That light at the end of the tunnel is not always a train, right? I mean, you can find your way out of stuff. Best way to find your way out of this is to call Denise G. Lee and have Denise drag your ass out of this mess. All right? So Denise, how do we find you? Where can people reach you? What have you got going on and how can you help us? Where do we find you?
Yeah, so I know you have gone on my website. For everyone else who hasn't, literally just take my name, Denise G. Lee, no spaces.com, and I've got a lot of useful information. We've been talking about the life script. Highly encourage you to take it, regardless if you become a client or not. Got my blog. I've got tons of articles, mostly for me, but I also have therapists and doctors and wellness experts. I also have weighed in on so many important issues that entrepreneurs face. Obviously, you can learn more about my journey about Denise Page. I also have the Interpret Entrepreneur podcast, over 600 episodes on health and wellness, well, specific more mental health and wellness. And then lastly, if you're interested in working with me, you can click on the links on coaching. That's cool. Whatever you want to do, it's cool. I don't care. It's the information's out there. I'm gonna be all right. Be all
Well, we're
right.
going to make sure that link is on the bottom of the podcast. Just make it easy for people so they can just click on there and go right to you right after the podcast and say, "Heal me. Heal me, Denise G. Lee, because I'm a disaster." But you've been great. I love it. I love how you bring it. I love how you're real. I mean, I didn't look too much into your story, because I don't care, because you're awesome. I mean, we've all got a story, and it's what you're doing now that matters the most. And I think it's great. And I'm really grateful that you came on and joined us.
I'm grateful for this honest conversation too. And I think everybody who's listening really needs to understand that I'm not trying to perpetrate a fraud like I've got it all together, I'm prim and proper, I've got no problems. But it's the issue of asking yourself, like, are you willing to let go of a version of you that's not serving you? And if so, how far and how long and how consistent will you be on that journey? And that's an individual decision.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, because it's the truth. It's how long do you want to go down this? You know, at some point you got to face what's going on and you got to fix it. Otherwise,
Mhm.
the alternative is a big crash and burn mission, right? Yeah. All right, kiddo, you've been wonderful. I appreciate you being on. Guys, we just had the joy of being with Denise G. Lee. Look for her at Denise G. Lee. Just Google it, Denise G. Lee. It'll bring you to all her amazing stuff. She's got a great website, tons of information on there. Follow her podcasts, and we will see you again on another episode of the What If You Could podcast. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you, Gary.
All right, good. See you guys. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks again for joining us on another episode of What If You Could podcast. Please subscribe, like, share, and give us any feedback. We'd love to hear it. And remember, if you can dream it, you can do it. See you next time.